In the late summer of 2002, 51-year-old bank manager Nick Lysyk was living a life most could only dream of. Rare and expensive cars, more than a half-dozen girlfriends, and a seemingly endless supply of money. Millions upon millions of dollars. The problem was, none of it was really his. When he got caught, the spoils of his scam were made public. A story we've held on to on our crime tapes. Old locks were cut off, others had to be jimmied, as the full measure of one man's scam was opened up for all to see. Impressive properties in the city, a lakefront cabin, and a seemingly endless array of expensive automobiles. All of it seized and assessed by a receiver working for the Bank of Montreal. It came after that bank's auditors discovered Nick Lysyk's multi-million-dollar bank loan fraud. While their branch manager spent some of the stolen money on himself, as well as on his family, he also lavished gifts, homes, and even businesses on a half-dozen paid sex workers he was seeing.
Hi, Amanda?
Yeah, I don't want to be videotaped or make a comment.
I am not talking to the media. If you want, you can call my lawyer.
The bank's efforts to retrieve as much of the missing money as was possible included an auction that saw vehicles of all types, including Lysyk's prized muscle cars like a rare Hemi Cuda, going on the auction block to the highest bidder.
The more we can generate, of course, the more money goes back to our client and in turn to replace funds that are missing from the bank.
I was looking at the Mopars, but they're going to go fairly expensive. Beautiful cars, though.
As the investigation into Lysyk continued, the public found out how he was able to continue his scheme for a half-dozen years, and his reasoning for doing it in the first place. All of the material goods and properties linked to Lysyk amounted to overwhelming evidence, giving the former bank manager no choice but to make a deal. And instead of going to trial, that's exactly what Nick Lysyk did. He pleaded out and gave an accounting of where all that money went. That's coming up in our conclusion tomorrow on the Crime Tapes. After years of falsifying records to steal millions of dollars, bank manager Nick Lysyk was found out during an audit at his West End branch. $16 million was missing from the Bank of Montreal, and there was an easy trail as to where some of it went. It included jewelry and furs, homes and hot rods, and all of it leading back to Nick Lysyk, leaving him only one choice: make a deal and plead guilty. Here's what it looked like from our crime tapes.
Nick Lysyk walked away from court saying nothing, but inside he pleaded guilty to defrauding his former employer, the Bank of Montreal, of more than $16 million. Where did it go to? Nick Lysyk took more than $4 million. His girlfriend, who was an escort, named Lillian Green, got nearly $3.5 million. Other escorts Lysyk met over the same 6-year period he stole the money received another $3.5. Amanda Orr was one of many, receiving a paltry $116,000. He did it by using names of friends and family, but by falsifying their net worth. The scam continued as long as interest was paid on more than $15 million. The bottom fell out during an audit in 2002. Lysyk was arrested a few days later. At least 40 cars were recovered by the bank, 17 pieces of property, as well as furnishings and fine jewelry. The defense will be a psychologist who says Lysyk was chronically depressed during the time the money went missing. His lawyer wouldn't speculate on how this sentencing hearing might end.
Only a brief comment, which is that we're pleased that things are proceeding, and Mr. Lysyk would like to see this matter resolved as quickly as possible.
Lysyk was sentenced to 7 years and 4 months. He was granted day parole little more than a year after he went inside, and in 2008, the Bank of Montreal finally closed the books on trying to recover all the assets stolen by the former branch manager. After seizing all the property, selling off all the assets, then paying their own legal fees, the bank was only able to recoup $6 million of the missing money, leaving them close to $10 million short. I'm Ewasuk, and this has been a story from the Crime Tapes.